This is where I grew up, and this is where I fell in love with gardening. This is where I grew up. My family has 40 acres. My dad likes to hobby farm, growing hay. He's done pumpkins, corn, soybeans. And growing up, we always had a huge vegetable garden. To me, that was part of the definition of summer, or it had become that way, and it was part of my definition of home too. And then when I went off to college and my parents got older, they decided they're not gonna garden anymore. So that summer I grew my first garden. So I think that's the main motivation behind why I love gardening, is just because my parents loved it. They've never actually completely given up gardening since then either. They always have at least a few tomato plants and a few pepper plants that they get excited about, but nothing compared to what they used to do. But yeah, that's the main reason I love gardening, is it's just a sense of home to me, and it reminds me of my dad.
There are more beans out here than you can take this thing.
Oh, great.
And now that I live away from home, it makes me feel close to home.
Well, broccoli's all been cut. That's nice cabbage. There's Kelly in her raincoat.
I found a big one.
You been eating cauliflower?
Dad, I found a big one.
There's our old bean picker. I'm gonna put the meat back in the freezer. We'll just eat veggies.
Another huge motivation for gardening for me, if you don't know, I am a registered dietitian, so that's a big motivator for me, is to have fresh, nutritious food, but that's honestly not like the hugest motivator. I went to school to study nutrition, and I started to care more and more about our current food system, learning about current agriculture, and that led me to learn about alternative ways to do agriculture more sustainably. And then me and my husband got a job at an organic CSA farm in northern Wisconsin. And then I ended up working at another farm when we moved to southern Wisconsin. And now we are working towards paying off student loans and figuring out our next steps. So I'm here with my dad, Ken.
Hi.
And he's gonna kind of share how he got into gardening, which ultimately led to me getting into gardening. So this morning I was out trying to explain how I fell in love with gardening. Do you want to explain how you got started gardening, or your earliest memories?
I think my earliest memories is growing up and being able to help on my grandparents' farm, and my grandmother having a garden, and being able to sit underneath the shade tree and carve open a cantaloupe and pick beans and just enjoy her fruits of labor that she produced in her garden. But yeah, those are some of my earliest memories. Later, it's just like it just kind of stuck with me, and wanted to garden on my own, and been doing it ever since. And I enjoy the fruits of labors, and I sure enjoy my daughter Kelly here, her garden. and how she's progressed into gardening. She makes me look like an amateur sometimes.
No. No, I was explaining this morning how you used to have huge gardens and so many green beans didn't know what to do with, and you know, Mom has said like when you guys first got married that you would just bring in 5-gallon pails of green beans and be like, look what I brought you, and and she's like,
And
oh,
tomatoes.
and tomatoes, and she's like, oh, what am I supposed to do with all these? And that's how she kind of got roped into it, is the processing end of preserving the harvest.
Right, we did a lot of canning, which I really enjoyed the fruits of that.
Yeah, it's fun in the winter to be able to eat something that you grew and remember the summertime. What else was I saying? Oh yeah, I was explaining kind of the story of my first garden, about how my first summer home from college, and you were like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna do a garden this year, it's just so much work. and that was my first garden, because I was like, we are having a garden.
Yeah, they are fun. They're a lot of work, but when you get the harvest from it, that makes it all worthwhile.
The fall harvest. A whole laundry basket of broccoli. But Ken and Kelly are still picking. We'll go out and see them.
There are more beans out here than you can take this thing.
Oh, great. Well, broccoli's all been cut.
Thank you.
That's a nice cabbage. There's a bag with them.
Get a picture of the basket in the garage?
Yeah. There's Kelly in her raincoat. This over here is one acorn squash plant. One plant. Huge. There's beets. It looks like they're doing pretty good. Those onions aren't doing so great. And red potatoes. 1 row of reds and 3 rows of white. And corn and pumpkin.
There's yellow beans in here.
Again? We had that last year, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, carrots.
One of these plants on the side must be a yellow bean.
Now we got lettuce,
That's one plant here.
peas, beans, lots of tomatoes. Here's Brussels sprouts.
Oh, I found a big one.
We've been eating cauliflower.
Dad, I found a big one.
There's our old bean picker.
Yeah.
You like that raincoat?
Yeah.
She's gonna keep it.
Oh, good, huh?
And I can like Papa.
Lots of tomatoes.
I found a tomato.
Is there any ripe ones?
Wait, tomato.
Sorry.
Red ones. You know when they get red, honey?
I'm gonna find the red one.
Take a look at this one, Tom.
Oh, wow. A few beans. Oh. I'm gonna put the meat back in the freezer. We'll just eat veggies. Hot banana peppers. There's some jalapenos right there. And chili peppers. Rutabagas. And watermelon. Little sugar babies or sugar daddies or something they're called. Little round ones. And well, Ken keeps saying the corn don't look so great, but we'll eat it when it's ready. Are you picking?
Yep.
Are you a good helper?
Yep.
So I'm not gonna do a whole garden tour again, but I was just at my parents' for a week and came back to this. The morning glories have completely taken over the trellis and are like 1.5 feet hanging from the top with nowhere else to go. And they have blossoms all over. And look at these cosmos, they're giant. Oh, and look at these sunflowers. Also, look who came to say good morning. One of my giant sunflowers opened up.